Today's short story is called The Neighbor, and makeup look was requested by Des. You're walking home alone one night, and it's gotten darker sooner than you expected. As you near the street that your house is on, you see a man in a dark coat walking towards you. He's got his hood pulled up over his head, and he's walking down the middle of the street. So you cross the street, as to get out of his way. But no sooner than you do this, he crosses the street too, and continues to walk your direction. The street lights come on, and you clutch your purse to your chest as you walk down the street towards your house. But as you do this, the man turns and follows you down the same street. Your heartbeat quickens, your adrenaline kicks in, and you start to jog towards your home. The footsteps behind you begin to get louder as they speed up and begin to jog just like you are. You fiddle with your house keys until you finally get the door open and get safely inside. You lock the door behind you and look out the window, seeing the man stop for a moment. You sigh in relief, realizing that you made it. But now he knows where you live. Today's short story is called Scary Shots, and the makeup was requested by Rose. As a cool August breeze blows over the landscape, you stand on the edge of summer and fall. The trees are getting ready to change color, and the kids are all going back to school. But one kid hates school a little bit more than the others. Well, actually, he doesn't hate the school. He hates the kids that go to it. This kid is an outcast, a nobody, a loser, who feels like they haven't even been given a chance. But the real problem isn't the other kids. No, actually, it's the parents, who the second their child acts out will blame the school or the government or anyone but themselves. Fast forward to the actual scary part of the story. You're hunkered under a desk locked in a room, and it's so quiet you could hear a pin drop 3 doors down. The door to your room wiggles. You hold your breath. You hear footsteps moving down the hallway, when suddenly an unmistakable sound rings in your ears. Are you hit? You're not sure, and then you remember, I'm homeschooled. Today's story is called The Serial Killer, and the makeup was requested by a subscriber. I hate to tell you this, but you'll probably never hear from me again, so it's best that I do. There's a serial killer in town who hasn't been caught, and I think I'm about to be their next victim. They take people out to the lake and tie rocks to their ankles so that they sink to the bottom and drown. No, they aren't dead beforehand. That's the method used to kill them, not dispose of them. There's a time release on the rocks using a corrosive latch so that eventually the bodies float to the surface, and then the police department finds them, and boom, perfect disposal method. The killer knows that at some point, the bodies are going to be found, so they've calculated that into the way they get rid of people. They use gloves and tie their hair back, and never leave any evidence. Guess they gotta keep the detectives on their toes somehow, right? Well, because I know I'm going to die next, I leave you this video as evidence. To the detectives and officers and people of the town, my name is Sam, and I believe you've been looking for me. Can you believe I got away with it for so long? Today's short story is called The Wendigo, and the makeup was a sub-request. My friends and I were camping one night in a cave way out in the woods. The scariest thing we'd seen all day was a spider in an old oak tree. So around the fire, we started telling scary stories. One of them started talking about the legend of the Wendigo, which apparently is a human who at one point or another had to turn to cannibalism to stay alive. They have white, grayish pale skin, dark eyes, and bony, thin bodies. They usually live in mines or caves, and because they were once human, they can imitate human voices. But as the light of our campfire began to dim, the crickets went quiet. We started hearing humanoid voices in the back of the cave, but we tried to convince ourselves it was just the echoes of our own voices and went to bed anyways. It was about midnight when I heard my friends' voices outside the tents, and I laid there terrified hearing what they said. Should we eat him now? No, he's not properly scared. I soon realized I was alone in that cave. My friends weren't talking out there. Just one more short before bed. The short. Today's short story is called Eyes at Night, and the makeup was a sub-request. You're about to doze off to sleep one night when suddenly you get a strange feeling. You're alone in your room, your curtains are shut, and yet for some reason, you have this strange feeling like someone's watching you. You stick your phone in your nightstand, and your computer doesn't have a webcam, but for some reason, something in your brain is just screaming, "We're being watched." There are specific neurons in your brain called your gaze detection system, and they only fire off when you're being stared at. This is why you wake up in the morning when your pet is staring at you because they want food. It's an evolutionary trait that humans evolved to avoid predators and survive. But your pet's asleep in another room tonight, and yet the darkness stares back at you with its own eyes. Your mother says it's just your guardian angel watching over you, so you cover your head with the blankets, and suddenly the feeling is gone. But come 2 a.m., you're awake again. I'll let you do the math on that one. Today's short story is called Stronger Than Iron, and the makeup was a sub-request. He laughed at me with an obnoxious grin. You have no idea what you do. I smiled back and rolled my eyes. You think I'm afraid of you? He scoffed and said, yes, 'cause men can be monsters, and I'm stronger than you see. I giggled once, then my eyes went black, and I said, you should be afraid of me. See, I was afraid of you before, but now I'm ready for your worst. You lay a hand on me, I've got a knife and a taser and a gun in the top of my purse. He rolled his own eyes and took a step towards me and laughed. You expect me to believe what you say. I pulled my 9mm from its holster and shrugged. No, I expect you to beg. The devil, which finally filled his eyes, launched toward me with wicked intent. I pointed and fired, and the barrel got hot, and in him left more than a dent. Sometimes men can't control their own demons, so women have to defend themselves. They're stronger than us, but I've got my own iron. Only demons are afraid of hell. Today's story is called Elections Aren't Real, and the makeup was a sub-request. Congratulations! You've just established a new country, and being the intelligent person that you are, your peers decide to let you make the rules. First things first, you think, gotta have something to protect people's opinions. Nobody gets along all the time, and all ideas should be presented equally. And the people need to be able to defend themselves, be it from animals or other people. They should also not have to worry about soldiers of the state demanding station in their private homes. At least not during times of peace. And speaking of the state, officials should be selected carefully and have specific term limits. That is, except for my friends and me. We have to keep control of this beautiful new land, and the average person isn't smart enough to think about the greater good, so we'll do what we think is best for them instead. But of course, they have to believe they have some choice. They have to think they're in charge. So to keep the masses docile, we'll put on a show every few years to make them feel like their vote matters. Yes, that'll keep them in line. Good thing it's just a story, right?